Welcome back, everybody, to the new and improved Unscripted Podcast. Used to be the Days In podcast. If you've been following along for a while, you know we've figured out what we want to talk about, who we want to talk to, and that's where we're honed in on this season. Not even really a season anymore, just episodes moving forward. But we're looking forward to bringing you guys behind the scenes to what Michael and I have going on a little bit more than we did in season 2, and really dial in the community that we have for this podcast. And we're just super excited to get started.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here we are, man. We're back.
We are back.
We're back.
We're back. It's exciting things that we have happening, right? As you guys know, like, we're doing a lot more like posting on social. So there's a lot happening there from behind the scenes, what's working, what's not working, like how we built this thing and what we're doing to continue to do so. So that's even better.
Mm-hmm.
But I think today, really, I think what something that we've been talking about over the past week is how does proximity to success equal success for yourself?
Yeah.
Right. And what does that look like? Right? What does proximity look like? How do you find that community to be able to be around people that are at 2, 3, 10 levels ahead of you?
Yeah.
To go, okay, like just being here is going to get me where I need to be. And so, yeah, I'd like to just touch that, but I'd like to get your kind of take on it first, and then we can just dive in.
Yeah. My take on proximity.
Yeah.
So it's a new and kind of foreign environment for me. I don't want to say that. It's not foreign. Maybe I just didn't know it. I didn't know that I was in the midst of it until we started to have conversations about it like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of more in depth and detailed conversations about what that even means. And I have noticed within like the last 2 years that I have been able to grow exponentially through proximity to yourself, through other sources within my 9 to 5 and career or tenure that I've been in for a while. And I've noticed that in such a short period of time, I've skipped a few levels because of that proximity.
Mm-hmm.
And that bleeding effect of just being around, when I talk to people about it now, I'm like, it's just being around people that are, I hate to say it this way, in a way, but that are better than you, realistically.
Oh, 100%.
And that trickle effect and bleeding effect of their environment and the level and capacity in which they're operating, and how that trickles down to the umbrellas over you is pretty significant. So I think I've been in that for a while. I think my entire tenure and career has been designed around being in proximity of people that have just known far more than I knew at the time, and I've been able to, obviously, through, I feel like, my personality, absorb and apply pretty well, because you can find yourself in that situation, and though you're in proximity, it just rolls off you like you're those duck pants, you know what I mean? And so I think absorption, that's another kind of angle that we could look at and communicate about for those who are
First
interested.
off, what the heck are duck pants?
What do you mean?
What are duck pants?
Are we having a YSK moment here?
I don't know, but what is a duck pant?
It's a brand of pant called, they have a duck on them. I don't know if that's the actual brand name. It's not Dockers or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure they're called duck pants. I'm pretty sure you can get them from like Dillard's, and you pour water on them and it just rolls off.
Interesting.
Dude, Michael, I swear, you've got to get out from underneath whatever rock. You know what I mean?
Rock.
Yeah, the rock of not liking rugby shirts and.
First off, rugby shirts are like circa 2008.
Dude, you don't even understand. Y'all will realize come this new adaptation of the podcast that rugby shirts will be a constant for me. So I really don't care what you think, but they're being worn.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyways, duck pants. So you have this. You could be in proximity of those that are really giving you a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of experience, and from a vast level of, or vast variety of different types of genres. But if you're not absorbing, if you're not in the mindset of absorbing what people are giving you, then what's the point?
No, you're exactly right. Like how I think about it is, when I pay to get into like rooms now, I'm usually the stupidest person in the room, and that's where I want to be. Right? I'm the dumbest person in the room, and that's exactly where I want to be, because at that point, you have nowhere to go but up.
Yeah.
Right? Like your back is
That's
up
a good
against
way
the
of looking
wall,
at it. Yeah.
and there's nowhere to go but up. Right? And so, like, I've learned to go, okay, if I can't, if where I am doesn't get the invitation in the room, then I'm going to pay to be in the room.
Mm.
Right? And so, and then I can pay for. And so, a big thing that a lot of people don't know, is a lot of people like pay for relationships, and it's a weird sounding thing.
Yeah, I want you to touch on this a little bit, because just like I was like super confused.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you talking about? Like,
So,
yeah.
most of the podcasts that Grant Cardone does, or those types of guys do, they're being paid to be on that. They're being paid to be on that channel, whether it's
Sure.
20, 30, 50, or whatever their fee is. They're being paid to be on that
I
channel.
think that's just like,
Yeah.
most
that,
podcasts. Yeah.
yep. And then that individual would never have proximity to that person unless they paid for that relationship. Then once you pay for them to come on board, you deliver the value. You deliver a value conversationally, and then from there, a relationship can be born to where you don't have to continue paying for that relationship.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's the idea of like paying for relationships, paying for the room. And so whatever it could be an individual room with an individual person, or it could be a mastermind with a collective of people, where those are the right mastermind can propel you, can propel the business. Right? It's all about, I hate using the word shortcuts, but that's exactly what it is. Right? If you want, if you want to grow exponentially in 3, 6, 9, 12 months, the easiest way to do that is proximity.
Yeah.
Right? Get into proximity with people that have already done it before you, have already trekked that. And then from there, you can just being around that and being in the thick of that, then you'll be able to just grow, because you'll know, okay, what landmines not to walk on, right? You'll know which, which split roadways that you're not supposed to be taking, right? You'll understand what, like, here's my path, and this is the path that I thought I needed. Like we were just talking about before the podcast, right? Like being, right, like chatting with Nick on what we have going on, right, has saved us a ton of time, where he's like, hey, focus your efforts here and here, don't do here, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Don't do that, right? I probably would have sunk a lot more money into something, something else than that, right? Like, you know what I mean? So it's like it's those areas where you're like, okay, the people that have trekked it before you can tell you the landmines not to step on, and that is extremely important, because it saves you time. Because every time you step on a landmine, sometimes that can put you into a 6-month tailwind where you're going, okay, something's not working, but you just lost 6 months.
Yeah, you just and that's what I think about when you talk about like paying for these mastermind rooms, which I think everybody has an understanding of like paying for like a class, but to think about paying for a room full of people, but you have this transaction of financial uh investment versus time investment, because this person's probably gone through what you've gone through. And so they're
Absolutely.
giving you like a roadmap. They're giving you a detailed roadmap. It's not just, hey, point A to point B. Here's all the checkpoints along the way that really held me up. And I had to pivot, and I had to go either, horizontal and then back linear, whatever the case is. And I do think there's a lot of value in that. And it is kind of in a way of, it was a foreign subject for me, but once I grasped that, and I started, it kind of changed my life instantly, because I started going home and thinking about it. And again, like I said, knowing this versus being able to absorb it is that common denominator, or that common factor. And so being able to go back and absorb and try to look this up for myself, and try to figure out how to apply myself into those positions to exponentially grow myself. Because if I would have known that at the beginning of the podcast, I might not have the roadmap for the podcast that I have, which is a part of our DNA at this point.
Yeah.
But maybe I would have gotten myself in front of somebody who's podcast before and saved myself a whole bunch of headache. But here we are. So that's the question that I have for you is, knowing what you know now, knowing about learning and growing through proximity and how important that is, would you have done your career growth any different? Would you have started by learning by proximity, or do you think there's also value in stumbling upon the things that through
Yeah.
trial by fire?
So there comes a point where you can afford to be in proximity, or you
Okay.
have to get creative in order to get proximity. And I think knowing what I know now, if I had to do it all over again, I 100% are going to try to get into the rooms that I can, right?
Early
Like
on, as
we're
early as
early on,
possible.
like
Yeah.
the one thing that I was going to do. So when I started off in marketing, when I was, 19, 20 years old, um, I would have went to a lot more events. I
Hmm.
would have went to a lot more things like that. And so, and sometimes investing in your business isn't just revenue generating factors, isn't just branding factors, right? It's also networking factors. So like getting into rooms, right? Like paying for paying that $800,000 ticket, but you know that the value is there, and the
Yeah.
relationships that you can bring from there are going to save you. So how I think of events now is, are there people coming to this event that can save me more than what I paid for the ticket?
Hmm.
Right? Like it doesn't have to be a dollar for dollar value, right? It can be a knowledge value. It could be in business value. It could be in revenue value. But right, as long as I'm getting the same value back in some way, I call it a win.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're looking at it from the perspective of, you're putting on an event for X amount of dollars, and even if you come up short, but then let's say you come up short by like $5,000
Yeah,
for whatever reason, but then you save your company $500,000 in the long run because of what you've learned through proximity engagement. That's where that scale exists, right?
exactly.
But is that a gamble, or do you feel like there's a system? There's almost a guaranteed system there.
You need to get. I mean, there is a system, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't I don't really do chamber of commerce meetings anymore
Okay.
because that they're not of value to me anymore, right? When I was a service-based business, because everybody there isn't a customer of yours.
Sure.
They're
Yeah.
trying
Yeah.
they're, they're trying to do the same thing you're doing,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And next thing you know, like you have like 5 roofers in a chamber of commerce event, like whatever it's whatever it is, right? Like
Yeah.
what I do for work, they're not my ICP. They're not my ideal customer profile, right? They're just not them,
Okay.
right? So I need to be selective of where I go, right? And so first and foremost is when you're thinking about events, when you're thinking about rooms that you need to get into, it doesn't make sense. So if I am um if I am a data security and compliance, I probably shouldn't go to a matchmaking event. Right.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense to go there to be a vendor there. Like, why would I do that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not my ideal customer profile. It's completely off.
Counterintuitive. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or if I am, or if you're a GDC commerce company, like you shouldn't be going to like some offbeat type of event or to a chamber of commerce. Right.
Hmm.
It doesn't like your ICP has to match really, really well. Right. But your ICP is both sides. Right? You have an ICP of your actual customer, right?
Okay.
What does my customer actually look like, and who has the best probability of buying from me? But then you
Mm.
also have business partners and everything, business partners or collaborations, right? What does that IC? What does that look like, right? And I don't know if you can call that IBP, right? Ideal business profile,
Sure.
right?
Okay.
Of like, okay, what does this look like? Okay, so if I'm going to look for a partner or a collaborator, like what could that look like? What I love about what Nick Shackelford and Aaron Novish is doing with Breeze is they are inserting themselves into culture now,
Mm.
right? Where every time there's a cultural event, Breeze is there, a part of that culture, right? They're
Yeah.
a part of it now. And he was just talking about on LinkedIn, I think LinkedIn or Twitter, I think yesterday, the day before yesterday, about what they're doing and how they're doing it. And it's called the third place, right? And I think that's something that we can take from as well, right? They're a direct to consumer brand, right? And so they're inserting themselves in the culture. We're a podcast and we can insert ourselves in the culture as well because we have something to talk about now,
Yeah.
right? And so what's called the third place. The third place is, so your home is your home and work. Those
Mhm.
are your 2 places. The third place is where you go hang out with, right? Are you going
Mm.
to Are you going to that like rooftop bar? Are you going to that like patio set at Kelly's at Ice House, or Katie Ice House, or something like that, right? Where it's that third place that you go, and that's where culture happens, right? That's a good that would be a good ideal business profile, because now like you're inserting yourselves into culture
Mhm.
and you're collaborating with businesses, and then that's where magic happens. We can help each other now
How often should that third place be visited?
as much as possible.
Okay. Not at the compromise, right?
Well,
Of
no, it's
yeah,
not compromising
yeah,
family or
yeah.
anything, right? But I'm talking about from a business perspective.
Like that should be
That should be
yeah.
like for instance, I love what they're doing, right? And is they can have like on Thursdays, Fridays, Saturday nights, just DJs all around the city, right? Rooftop DJs, right? And what are they doing? They're passing out the product,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, what could you and your business do, right? Anybody that's watching or listening, like, what could you do to be able to be a part of a third place? Like, what is that place for you, and how does your business fit in to be able to be a part of that type of cultural event?
Yeah.
Also, right? We have cultural events all the time right now, right? They're everywhere, whether it's arts, whether it's tech, whether it's
A lot of AI, yeah.
whether it's political, whatever it is, right? There is a cultural event happening. So maybe your business doesn't do that identically, right? But maybe you can have a voice within that makes sense.
Hmm.
And that's what it's about. Like, how can I spin this to where, like, an HVAC company, how could an HVAC company be a part of a cultural event, right? Well, it could be a community effort, right? It can be bringing people together for an impact of something. It could be bringing a community together for whatever it is, right? They can sponsor a night out, whatever it is, that they could do something, right? Or moms, dads, like they just have a bunch of stuff happening, right? Or like they just need a break from children and they need a night out. Like an HVAC and a roofing company could like sponsor a parents' night out of something like super cool and bring in a few other brands to be able to create something awesome, right?
Just to bridge that, yeah.
Just to bridge the gap,
Hmm.
right? Bridging the gap. And that's what business is all about. Like, how can we bridge the gap from here to here to be able to, one, grow sustainably, and two, be so embedded in culture that people can't forget who we are.
What would you say is like the go-to, and you're probably going to answer this instantly, but like what would you say is the go-to virtual growth by proximity? Was that LinkedIn right now?
Oh yeah, I think LinkedIn
or X, or like which?
LinkedIn and X. LinkedIn,
Okay.
LinkedIn and X. LinkedIn's having a moment right now.
Yeah.
Where it's not just like, let me post about my new job offer, or let me post about this, or like, because LinkedIn like 2 years ago was all the same, right? Somebody got a new job and they post, I just want to say thank you to all the people that supported me. And it's like,
and then we
all two?
Yeah.
All two people? Like,
yeah.
Right? You're calling out people in your posts that you want to see it, that didn't probably have a direct impact in your life, but you want them to see it because it's like, it's a thankful post, and people are psychological that way, that they'll actually engage in it. It's smart, but it sucks because it was everywhere. But today, people are sharing their stories. People are sharing more personalized stuff.
I've noticed that, yeah.
And that's where I was like, okay, so last like probably 2-3 weeks, I've been going probably last month. I've kind of got all in on LinkedIn. It was like, okay, like I'm gonna share the good, the bad, the ugly. Right? What's working for us as a podcast? What didn't work? What did we miss? Right? All right, sharing some of those misses from season 2. And how are we growing?
Which is healthy,
sustainably?
by the way. Yes, yeah. Super healthy, because not only are you expressing yourself and just, and not to cut you off, but and verifying and validating some of the things that we missed and balls that were dropped. But like, we're able to throw that out, like we said, through the roadmap and those checkpoints of like, hey, for somebody potentially in that same position, maybe don't do X. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Right. It's about proximity. It's about teaching somebody else not to step on the landmine.
I like that.
Right. Like, don't step. And now Now, if you have the information in front of you and you have that and you still step on a landmine, it's your fault.
Yeah.
You screwed up,
Yeah.
right?
Realistically,
Don't
yeah.
do it again. Teach
Yeah.
somebody else, hey, I screwed up. I stepped on this landmine. I wasn't supposed to step on this landmine because I actually had the roadmap, right? It's your fault. Like, teach somebody else not to do that crap,
Mhm.
And that's what it's about. It's just about passing on everything that we're doing. And like behind the scenes is more than just showing our setup,
Mhm.
right? It's more than just showing like what we're doing. It's, hey, like we're growing this thing. A podcast is as public as it can get because you're putting yourself out there and
Realistically, yeah.
like you're already putting yourself out there. So like, I want to put it all out there, right? Like, what am I doing to grow, to grow my consulting company? What am I doing to grow, unscripted ventures and like, and the stuff that we're doing inside of here, right? Like what are we doing, to be able to actually do the things that we love to do, right?
That is, in my opinion, where the biggest ball was dropped is, we have this unique opportunity to share our story and, kind of come up with the why of why
Yeah.
we're even doing this. And we've talked about it before, but we didn't get, I feel like we didn't get that opportunity, or we didn't take advantage of that opportunity in season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big part of why we took the necessary time we did, because you never want to lose momentum. You never want to lose the hard work that you put in and take too long of a break, because you say it all the time, execution, speed, and consistency are what rule this game right now, this game we all play. And to give up some momentum, to give up some of the speed, and to slow down, and to really just dial in on, which is why we rebranded. It was such a big conversation, but to really dial in on like the message behind what we're trying to do. And a part of that was going back to, who are we? Like I said, what is our DNA in this thing? If we're not pouring our DNA into this thing, then what is going to make anybody want to come and be in proximity of us? Because that's a reverse. It's almost a reverse thing too. If we're going out and putting ourselves in this position of getting in proximity of others, what makes you valuable? And what do we bring to the table as not just people, not just individuals who have our tenures and our careers that we're handling on a day-to-day basis, but from this podcast perspective, what is making this a studio and an experience for those coming on board that are also learning in proximity? Because the people that we're aiming to evaluate and interview and capture their stories, they're looking for their next opportunity of growth as well.
100%.
They're not just teachers; they are learners. They are absorbers. They are appliers, and so it has to be this mutual. I think we learned that it has to be this mutual understanding that there's something we can get out of this, and we got a lot of that from season 2 from some of those guests. But you could also really go off the rails and just go down this avenue of, I'm just going to get somebody on and they're just going to talk about their product. And you could do that an infinite number of times. And really, I hate to say this, but really, what value are you bringing? Because that product's getting exposure somewhere. If they're on your show and you're looking for them, their product's getting exposure for someone else. And so I think when we slow down, when you openly communicated about the proximity and how that really can change the game and change the narrative, and we redesigned this podcast to hone in on that, I think we'll see that growth that you're talking about from the 6 to the 9 to the 12-month period of time that we'll dial in on those conversations and those key elements
Absolutely
in the interviews that will provide not just growth for us internally, but for the ones that are coming on board. Hopefully they can get a nugget, because I could talk about safety all day long.
Right.
I've been doing it for so long. That's not necessarily what our podcast is about. And so I have to remove myself from what I expertly know and put myself in the room as the one who knows nothing in order to
and
flourish.
Likewise. So to answer your question, I want to answer one question. I want to answer this next one. Is how do we make ourselves like so valuable, attractive to where people want to be in proximity to us? And I think Alex Hormozi said it really well. Stack up so much evidence against you that
Mm,
it is impossible for you not to be seen, right? Like you have so much evidence that you know what you're doing. You're doing what you say you're going to do, that people are just like, at some point, it's just going, this is what he does. This is what you do,
I like that. Yeah.
right? It's stacking up so much evidence against you. And that's what it's about. And the other piece that you were talking about was um, just like you and I in proximity, right? So for me, it was getting in proximity to you to understand the podcast world.
Hmm.
But it was like, okay, like I don't understand. Like I tried to start a podcast once, and I think I got like 1, 2 episodes in, and I was like, this is stupid.
Overwhelming.
I was like, this is absolutely ridiculous. And I
Yeah.
was like, I don't know anything about editing. I did not want to learn a new skill,
Hmm.
right? I didn't want to learn it, right? And so then, like, you and I became friends, and it was like, okay, like I'm just gonna like observe how you're doing this, what you're doing it, why you're doing it, and like, and that was my observation, and that proximity to you allowed me to kind of understand. One, you have real skill in what you're doing, right? You built a skill, right? And so now I was able to come in and not have to relearn multiple skills, right? And then you, in proximity to me, we were able to match everything up to be sitting here today where we are,
Yeah.
right? Like I don't come into your world because I don't know it, and there's some things that you don't come into my world about because I don't know. You're just like, I trust that you know how to edit a flipping podcast, and I'm not going to tell you how to edit a podcast,
Yeah.
right? And then on the marketing side, you're really good at it as well. So yours, I would say your skills cross pollinate more than my skills cross pollinate to you, right?
I don't know. I don't know.
Huh? I didn't know how to put the freaking lens off.
That's true. I wish I could have gotten that BTS, man. That would have been awesome.
Like, you know what I mean? Like
Cap's still on.
like the cap's still on. I'm trying to take it off. Like, like, like I didn't know what the heck. I was like, freaking A.
But you know what? You could share the same. We could have the same conversation about like, wait,
Yeah.
what do you mean paying for rooms of proximity?
Yes. Yeah.
So, realistically, we are, and that's where that alignment
Yeah.
has happened, and that's where I have faith and a lot of confidence in what we're providing here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm even building confidence on LinkedIn more, on social more, right? And that's really what it's about. And to be honest, like what I've said from day one of this podcast is an outlet for me.
Yeah.
Right. Because I love talking about this stuff. I love talking business. I love talking to founders just about all the stuff that they get to do and how they got to where they are. Like that's so interesting to me.
Mhm.
Right. And I love that. And I think it's super important for everybody else to understand what does it really take to be an entrepreneur, right? It's not a sexy term that you just turn on one day
It's
and you're
not.
good to go.
Yeah.
Right. It's
I wish it was plug and play, but it's
not.
not.
Sometimes I just want to like, when I'm sitting at my desk or sitting at the table, like I just want to put a camera on me so they can see like this crap is hard, right? Juggling 10, multiple different schedules, right? Juggling just the family stuff, right? Juggling the time that we have in between, and I think that in itself is just something that's really important, right? And finding that perfect time for our podcast guests because they're going through the same crap we're going through, right? And so that's a hard thing to schedule and juggle. And I think that it's important for people just to see like what does this actually look like? Like what is it? How do people like if you're somebody that's trying to do what we're doing or already doing it but trying to reach to another level, like how do you do that? Like how do I actually get to that place?
I can tell you how not to do it. Don't hold on to your baby so tight.
Oh, come on.
Man, we talked about that in the past, but where your products go to die and that sort of thing. Sometimes they just have to die.
Take it behind a shed and kill it.
But it's hard to do that when you've put so much time and effort into something, any type of creation.
Oh yeah.
Like if you there's a painting here, but you can't see it. But if you like had painted this and it took you 6 months to do it, and then I grabbed it and I ripped it in half and went like, you could do better.
Right.
You would feel some type of way. You'd be like, you'd be searching for a knife or
right.
Something to hurt me with. But knowing, and that goes back to proximity, knowing when there's value in the people around you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, does that change everything for you? When you can step back and go, I do have something nice. I do have something good. I do have somebody around me who's also made something nice and something good and now has something better.
Oh yeah.
Let that person encourage you on how your something good, something nice can be better.
Yeah, and that even goes into, right, you are who you hang around, right? Like
Yeah.
that makes that statement so much truer, right? Because if you're hanging around some like low life people that don't want to do crap or want to get high or want to just like skate through life, then I mean, you're eventually that it will rub off on you.
Yeah, don't skateboard. Yeah.
No,
Isn't that what you were saying?
no, not at all.
Don't skate. In fact, my wife thinks skateboarders are criminals. So
Huh?
yeah, we have a.
Am I a criminal?
Do you skate?
I do, but am I a criminal?
You skate pretty criminally. It's not very good.
I don't even know what that means.
It's not good.
I speak criminally.
Yeah. Is that a word?
Oh, maybe like 08. You can wear your rugby shirt while you say that damn word.
I'm gonna go get criminally printed on the rugby shirt.
But like, I think just like I think being in proximity to people.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like the biggest takeaway, to be honest, is just get into the rooms, and if you can't pay to get into the rooms, like go find an online community and do it. Right? Usually, online communities are a lot less more expensive than in-person communities, just because it takes a little bit more time. Right? So online communities like school.com, whatever it is. So whatever, find a community to get into, and then start adding value to that community.
Yeah.
Right. Once you add value to that community, that all that comes back to you, and that's what you have to start doing, and just start stacking up evidence against you that you know what the heck you're doing.
Yeah, because YouTube, even talking about LinkedIn, but even YouTube's a proximity thing. You can go and learn how to turf, and you can go to learn how to do pretty much anything. You want to. You might not have the tools and resources for it, but you can learn how to do it. And I think if I can say for myself, and this is almost kind of like a CTA for people that are watching this, correct me if I'm wrong. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. It's when you go and you put yourselves in those rooms, like you said, you want to be the dumbest in the room. Expect to probably be in that position, and if you're not, then you're already in the room, right? But if you're going into the room, don't expect to already know how to converse and know how to contribute, because like I went back and said, you have the proximity and you have the absorption.
Yeah.
And sometimes people who are a part of the proximity groups and already in that room really want to give out nuggets. You look at Frank Cottle.
Yeah.
That guy's built an incredible thing with
Alliance Virtual Networks.
Exactly. And he was just a wealth of knowledge to just freely give it out. He was eager to talk about it and eager to talk about what the future looked like and how that could help and apply to somebody else. And so I think when you find yourself in that room, obviously there's a level of in a way like candor, and I don't know the right word for that. Maybe you can help me, but like a level of intellectual integrity that you should probably bring into that environment.
Sometimes, right? I'll even go as far as to saying, if you're the smartest person amongst your friend group or in the room, go get new friends. Right? And that's not to say that you go, okay, I'm the smartest of you guys, can't hang out with you guys anymore.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you're always pouring, you're never filling. You're never being filled. Right? And at some point, you're going to get so tired that you can't pour out anymore. Yeah. Right? And so you have to have people pouring into you. The only way to do that is to get people that are ahead of you, that are already doing this, right? That are at that point where you're like, okay, I want to get there, but you're like 10 steps ahead of me. That's where you want to be. So if you're already in a friend group and you're the smartest person in that friend group, and that's not to say you're intellectually smart or whatever it is, right? But you'll know if that's you, if people are coming to you for everything. Yeah. Right. If
you
that's
could just
you,
be driven and
go find that room that you need to be in, because it's going to flipping help you so dang much.
Yeah. Don't forget about the other people. In fact, go find what you're saying. Like, go find what you need to from the other group that brings you to the lowest part that you can absorb from, and then apply that back to the people.
Exactly, man. Exactly. So
you just might not be met with absorption. I'm telling you, that absorption part.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
100%, man. 100%, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, this was awesome.
It's such a fun topic, man. And like I said, it really altered everything for me. Like noticeably. I started I do a lot of driving for work, and um I have a lot of time to think about
Yeah.
the conversations that I have, which is what makes podcasting so fun. But I had a lot of time to think about that narrative, or just that concept of learning in proximity, or putting yourself in proximity of people that just really know so much. And the more and more and more and more I digested it, the more I started to the more frustrated I was with the ways that I've navigated
Mhm.
some of these channels before. So, and it could even go back. It's not just entrepreneurism and a startup, mindset. It's also within your tenure and your 9 to 5, who you're putting yourself in front of and around in that environment. Are you just going to work uh, to fraternize with other people that are frustrated,
Mhm.
or fraternize with the people that you think are the most successful? Or are you going there to put yourself in proximity to the people that are like, hey, let me give you a roadmap. Let me give you what your future could look like if, like, you apply these certain elements. Show up to work on time. Give your 2 weeks notice. We're in this epidemic, and that's probably a whole nother conversation.
Oh, very
But
much so.
we are in this epidemic of not giving 2 weeks notices and just disappearing off the face of the planet. And I am like shook by this, that you don't understand the ripple and consequential effects of doing that. And maybe it's dying off because
Yeah,
of
yeah,
maybe because of the era, or
yeah. I mean, heck,
generation. I don't know.
companies don't give you 2 weeks.
Not always.
No,
I mean,
ever.
hmm,
GitHub just laid off a ton of people. I think like a few days ago, or last week, or something like that. And no, that day done.
yeah, I think that Target just had like a pretty big upset recently too. Did you see that?
Target,
Yeah.
Microsoft, GitHub, a lot of, you know why? And what's even crazier, and this is, I think this will be a setup for another conversation.
Yeah.
Is that I think J.P. Morgan, Jamie Dimon came out and said, "Hey, before you hire anybody else, another body in this place, go see if AI could do it."
That's a big conversation.
Microsoft just came out and said a third or even more. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure it is, and I'll find the article and link it. But I think a third of the code written inside Microsoft products today is AI generated.
That's insane, dude. We're headed towards like this.
So
Yeah.
I'm leaving it there. Set up for another conversation.
I like that.
Let's bring it in.
Yeah.
Awesome, brother.
I like that. Guys, appreciate it again. We are so excited to move forward with this new adaptation of the podcast, this new brand, this new look. Um,
Let us know what you think.
yeah, let us know. We
Yeah.
we have to get this engagement, because this is going to be crucial and key to the development of this thing. We want to bring you along for every challenge, every obstacle that we possibly can, and give you that inside look, that BTS, and we can be seen and watched across every platform: Spotify, Apple Podcasts,
Mhm.
Amazon Podcasts, YouTube, or even on TikTok for shorts. So go subscribe, share, and enjoy. I appreciate you guys.
Awesome.